The Shadows of Guilt. Prologue. It said that every man is innocent until proven guilty, but in my case, the weight of accusation felt like a preordained conviction. My name is David Matthews, and I stand accused of murdering my wife, Claire. This is my story, a story of love, betrayal, and the dark corners of the human heart. I ask only that you keep an open mind, for the truth is often more elusive than we might like to believe. The 3rd of January, 2023. The day began like any other. Claire and I woke up early, as we usually did, to get ready for work. We had our routines. She made coffee while I read the news. Our marriage had its ups and downs, like any other, but I loved her deeply. As I watched her move about the kitchen, I never imagined that by nightfall, my life would be shattered beyond repair. It started with a phone call from her office around noon. Claire hadn't shown up for work, and they were concerned. Panic set in immediately. I called her cell phone repeatedly, but there was no answer. I decided to drive home, thinking she might have had an accident or fallen ill. When I arrived, the house was eerily quiet. I called out her name, but there was no response. I found her in the living room, lying on the floor, motionless. My heart stopped. I rushed to her side, shaking her, screaming her name, but it was too late. Claire was dead. The 4th of January, 2023. The police arrived quickly after I called 911. They swarmed the house, asking questions, taking notes. I was in a daze, unable to comprehend what had happened. They took me to the station for questioning, and that's when the nightmare truly began. The detective, a burly man named John Harris, was relentless. He asked me about our marriage, our arguments, our finances. He seemed convinced that I was hiding something. I told him everything I knew, but it didn't seem to matter. I was their prime suspect. The 5th of January, 2023. They released me after hours of questioning, but the damage was done. The media had gotten wind of the story, and headlines blared. Husband questioned in wife's mysterious death. I became a pariah overnight. Friends, neighbors, even some family members, looked at me with suspicion. I hired a lawyer, Amanda Collins, to help me navigate the legal nightmare. She was sharp, experienced, and determined to prove my innocence. We went over every detail of that fateful day, trying to find something that would point to the real killer. The 10th of January, 2023. The autopsy report came back, confirming what I had feared. Claire had been murdered. She died from a single stab wound to the chest. The knife was found at the scene, wiped clean of prints. The police had no other suspects, and their focus remained squarely on me. Amanda and I began our own investigation, starting with Claire's life. We dug into her work, her friends, her activities. Claire was an architect, well liked and respected, but as we delved deeper, we discovered secrets that she had kept from me. Financial troubles, a strained relationship with her boss, and a close friendship with a colleague named Mark Turner. The 15th of January, 2023. Mark was devastated by Claire's death. He described her as a brilliant architect and a loyal friend, but as we spoke, I sensed something more. There was a hint of jealousy, a flicker of something dark in his eyes when he talked about her. Amanda decided to dig deeper into Mark's background. We discovered that Mark had a history of unstable relationships and a reputation for being overly possessive. He had been in love with Claire, a fact he had kept hidden from everyone. The more we learned about Mark, the more convinced we became that he was involved in Claire's death. The 20th of January, 2023. Amanda presented our findings to the police, but they were still focused on me. They had motive, opportunity, and means. They couldn't see beyond their initial assumptions. It was frustrating, but we continued to push forward, determined to find the truth. I spent hours replaying the events of that day in my mind. I remembered a strange car parked near our house that morning, a car I didn't recognize. Amanda tracked down the owner, a private investigator named Tom Evans. He admitted that he had been hired to follow Claire, but he refused to say by whom. The 25th of January, 2023. Tom Evans finally agreed to meet with us. He was a grizzled old man, with the air of someone who had seen too much. He told us that he had been hired by Claire's boss, Richard Lang, to investigate her for potential misconduct. Lang suspected Claire of leaking company secrets, but he had no proof. This new information was a bombshell. Richard Lang was a powerful man with a lot to lose. If Claire had discovered something incriminating, he might have wanted to silence her. Amanda and I confronted Lang, but he denied everything. He claimed he had no reason to harm Claire and that the investigation was purely professional. The 1st of February, 2023. The trial date was set, and the media frenzy intensified. My life was dissected in the public eye, every detail scrutinized and twisted. Amanda worked tirelessly, building our case, but the prosecution was equally determined. They had the knife, the motive, and my lack of an alibi. As we prepared for the trial, I received an anonymous tip. A woman named Lisa claimed to have information about Claire's death. Amanda and I met her at a cafe on the outskirts of town. Lisa was nervous, constantly looking over her shoulder. She told us that she had seen Mark and Claire arguing the day before her death. Mark had been furious, accusing Claire of betrayal. The 5th of February, 2023. Armed with this new information, Amanda subpoenaed Mark to testify. Under intense questioning, he admitted to the argument but denied any involvement in Claire's death. He painted himself as a concerned friend, worried about Claire's well-being, but his story didn't add up. Lisa's testimony added weight to our suspicions. She described Mark's volatile temper and his obsession with Claire. It was enough to cast doubt, but we needed more. We needed concrete evidence that Mark was involved. The 10th of February, 2023. The trial began, and the courtroom was packed with reporters and spectators. The prosecution laid out their case, painting me as a jealous husband who had snapped. They showed the knife, the financial records, the emails. It was a damning portrait, but Amanda was ready. She systematically dismantled their case, presenting our evidence of Mark's obsession, Richard Lang's investigation, and the anonymous tip. She called witnesses who testified to my character and our marriage. It was a battle of wills, and the jury was caught in the middle. The 15th of February, 2023. The turning point came when Amanda revealed a crucial piece of evidence. Security footage from a neighbor's camera. The footage showed Mark's car parked near our house on the morning of Claire's death. It was a smoking gun, proof that he had been there. Mark's alibi crumbled under the weight of the evidence. He broke down on the stand, admitting that he had gone to see Claire, but he insisted he didn't kill her. He claimed she was alive when he left, but his story was full of holes. The 20th of February, 2023. The jury deliberated for 3 days. It was agony, waiting for the verdict. My life hung in the balance. Finally, they reached a decision. Not guilty. The relief was overwhelming. I was free, but my life would never be the same. Epilogue. In the months that followed, I tried to rebuild my life. Amanda and I continued to search for the truth about Claire's death. Mark was charged with obstruction of justice and perjury, but the mystery of who killed Claire remains unsolved. I still think about her every day, wondering what might have been. The pain of her loss is a constant companion, but I find solace in knowing that I fought for the truth. This is my story, and it's far from over. The shadows of guilt may linger, but I will continue to seek justice for Claire, no matter how long it takes. Chapter 1. A Life Unraveled. The 3rd of January, 2023. The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting a warm glow over our bedroom. Claire stirred beside me, her hair a messy halo on the pillow. I watched her for a moment, feeling a pang of guilt for the argument we had the night before. We had been fighting more often lately, mostly about money and her late nights at work. I slipped out of bed and headed to the kitchen to start the coffee. As I waited for it to brew, I thought about how things had changed. Claire and I met in college, fell in love, and built a life together. She was my best friend, my confidant, my everything. But recently, it felt like we were drifting apart. Claire joined me in the kitchen, her eyes still heavy with sleep. "Morning," she said, her voice soft. "Morning," I replied, handing her a cup of coffee. We sat in silence, each lost in our own thoughts. I wanted to reach out, to bridge the gap that had grown between us, but I didn't know how. She left for work a little after 8 a.m., kissing me goodbye at the door. "I'll see you tonight," she said with a smile that didn't quite.
Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can check out more videos like these right now.